My name is Sara Hayes. I am the Vice Principal and Academic Dean here at Father Ryan. I'd like to welcome you and your family to Father Ryan and thank you for expressing an interest in your 8th grade student attending our school. We are so happy that you are interested in our school as we believe it provides an exemplary education. Most of the information that I will present in this presentation comes from the parent evening on November 3rd, but we wanted to make this available to some of you who could not attend for whatever reason so that you could look at it for the first time, or also for parents who may want to review it for a second time. Throughout this presentation, you will see pictures of activities, events, classes that happen at our school. We thought this would be a good opportunity for you to see those as you aren't here normally during the school day and can't really see what goes on at Father Ryan. So welcome, and I hope you find this an informative presentation. In this picture right here, you will see Mr. Michael Mascari, who teaches our physics, AP Physics and Honors Physics programs. And you can see here they are doing a lab regarding movement and I believe also statistical measurements. This is not the only opportunity you will have to talk about how your child's schedule is determined or what you think would be the best placements and also courses for your child to take. But what this does is give you an immediate view in terms of the freshman schedule and also beyond that over the 4 years of high school. You should have received or will be receiving shortly a link from either Marisol Preston, Erin Riggs, or Erin Villette about setting up your scheduling conference as well as your student interview. Those will take place on Saturday, November 19th and also in the evening of December 1st. Notice there are 2 events there. One is a brief interview of your child and then a meeting with one of our schedulers to go over what your child should take for next year. The interview night, or if you come on Saturday, the interview day is composed of 2 parts. An interview with your child. This is just a way for us to get to know a little bit about them, what courses they like, what is challenging to them, what do they like best about school, books they've read, etc. It is not anything they should be concerned about at all. This will be followed then by a session with one of our schedulers that includes your student and you as parents. We do this each year so that we can have your feedback because we know you know your child best. What will happen is that when you 3 sit down with your scheduler, we will have prepared a preliminary schedule. For example, placing the student in core classes that every freshman must take. You and your student will have choices about things such as what world or foreign language would he or she like to take, what sport in which they might like to be involved, if any, if they would like to be in band, if they would like to take other electives. Because they are freshmen, most of their class load is prescribed by the state in terms of what they must have, but there are some elective opportunities. Our goal is for you and your student to leave with a copy of the schedule that you feel comfortable with. Please note this. If during the next few months you or your child decide, you know what, instead of Spanish I might like French, or I've decided maybe not to try out for this sport so I'd like to place something else in its place, you certainly can call us and we can make that change. But once we have a schedule for you from our end, we are not going to change it unless, for example, there is a conflict between 2 classes. And if that happens, we will contact you to see which you would choose. This is a class, actually you will see Chinese lanterns hanging behind the teacher. Of course, we do offer Chinese, and this particular teacher shares that classroom. You can see here she is teaching Spanish. You will note in most of our classrooms, while teachers are teaching, and sometimes even when they're not, students are working independently, that they will be using their laptops. We have discovered that that has made so many things easier for our students, from taking notes to taking quizzes and tests online, to having constant access to their textbooks, to much more interactive activities, to a world of information that is open to them that their textbooks simply cannot contain. What you will see here, and it is a little difficult to see, but basically I simply want to point out some things to you. This is a report form from the high school placement test, which your student will have taken by the time you come in for the interview scheduling appointment. At the top of the sheet, you will see a large area that's labeled Major Test Areas, Performance Scores, and Performance Ratings. Please note this: the placement test is not an achievement test, and so there will be information on it that students have not seen before, or that they have seen only at its most rudimentary level. It is a very difficult test, and I say that only because many times on an achievement test, a student may score in the 90th percentile, but he or she may only score in the 70 percentile here, and that's completely fine. You will see on the right side of the screen under performance ratings, ratings go from low all the way to high. For us, any student who falls within the average range or above is going to be successful at Father Ryan High School. So I want to defray any sense of, oh gosh, he or she did not do as well. It's a different scale that we use in terms of placement. On the bottom of the test, you will see 3 columns, and what those 3 columns do is take the test and break it down item by item, so you can see, for example, how your student does in vocabulary or spelling or correct usage, and it will use the same scale as you see above, from low to high, and it will put a check mark where your child falls in that particular area. But please note, in some areas, for example, if you go to the far right under mathematics and you come down to measurements, there are only 2 questions there. So if a student misses both of them, they're going to be marked low. What you can focus on that is more helpful is the larger headings. So for example, under reading on the far left, you have comprehension. There were 40 questions asked under comprehension. This particular student got 29 of them correct. So the larger headings with the larger numbers is what you really want to look at. And this is not the only tool, but one of the tools we use in helping determine placement for your child. In this particular picture, you see a student, actually what we're doing here is we're recycling books that had been determined were no longer effective or had ever been checked out or were so old that the information in them was no longer accurate. So the students take the books and they create pieces of art out of them. For example, the young man you're looking at here is creating a stadium. The person across from him is creating a city landscape. One student created a tornado and a scene after it had passed through. And it's a really creative way, I think, to be able to use those kinds of objects in a way that becomes meaningful. In this picture, you will see our course selection planning sheet. This is really the back of it. And this is why we say that it's not just for you to look at your child's schedule short term in terms of the freshman year, but really all 4 years. And what you see laid out here is typical schedules for freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. As you can see under the freshman year, most of the classes are already laid out because the foundational coursework occurs in the freshman year. But as you see going into sophomore, junior, and senior year, there are fewer that are required core and more electives that they can take. We offer over 160 courses at Father Ryan, and the reason we are able to do that is because we can offer so many courses at our differing academic levels. Many of you may know at Father Ryan we have 4 academic levels as well as an academic and cooperative support program for students who have learning differences. So we have a college preparatory level, an advanced level, an honors level, and an advanced placement level. We offer 26 College Board advanced placement courses, which means that the students who take those courses test at the end of the year with exams provided by the College Board, and often test out of many of the courses they would take as a freshman or sophomore in college. To give you an example, last year we administered over 400 advanced placement exams to our students, and we had an 82% qualified status or better, which means that 82% of the students who took those exams were able to earn scores that would qualify them for college credit. As you can see at the bottom of this sheet of paper, those are the graduation requirements for Father Ryan High School. Students must earn a minimum of 28 credits. They must enroll in a minimum of 7 credits each year at Father Ryan, and what that means is a student, of course, could take 7 classes and a study hall. You can see the breakdown of credits as are listed there on the left, and our advisors, as well as our academic scheduling personnel, help students to determine what is the best arrangement of courses they should take. For incoming math placement, I want to explain just a little bit about that for you. This is our math flow chart. So, for example, as I described to you those levels, on the far left, if a student is enrolled in Algebra 1 Honors, they follow pretty much that left-hand track. Usually, students will try and double up as a sophomore and take Algebra 2 and Geometry simultaneously. And then you can see they can move on to either or both Statistics and Pre-Calculus, Calculus A, B, and BC, and down in the far right corner you can see they can also take AP Micro and Macro Economics. In middle track you will see for students in advanced and college prep, that is the track that they usually follow. They can take, our students can take, and many of them do, 5 to 6 math credits before they leave. We require that students take a math credit every year, so they must graduate with at least 4 math credits. On the far right you will see Algebra 1 and Algebra 1 Lab double blocked. This is for students who may have a learning difference in regards to math. On a block schedule, which is what Father Ryan is on, every single student takes 8 periods of classes. They take 4 classes on one day and a different 4 the next, and it just rotates every other day. For students in Algebra 1 and Lab, they take math every day. Our goal is, as freshmen, to make sure by the end of the freshman year all of their math skills are where they should be, so they can most easily move into Algebra 2, followed by Geometry, and either Financial Algebra and Statistics. Students who may want to test right out of Algebra 1 into Algebra 2 Honors may certainly do so. They must already be in an 8th grade algebra class, and they must score in the appropriate range on the algebra placement test that we give in May of 2017. And so we will send out more information to you about the exact date of that, though I do have it listed at the end of this presentation. For students to qualify for Algebra 1 Honors, they must also already be in an 8th grade algebra class. And on that placement test that I showed you, they must score a score of 75 or greater in the math local percentile. You will see if you visit our classrooms that almost every one of them has a large screen for projection, and they use that interactively with the students. As you can see here, the teacher is able to touch the graph and actually move the arrow up or down. It saves a great deal of time in that they don't have to do things such as draw it out on the board, and they can be much more exact in their measurements and their specifications. Just like we have one for math, we also have one in science, a flow chart. And you can see on the left if a student is in our college preparatory biology 1, which actually is a college biology course. It is quite challenging. They would finish that and then go into chemistry as a sophomore, and then they could take any one of the 3 sciences that you see below that. Or in some cases they will take over the next 2 years all 3 of those, and that's completely fine. We strongly encourage that every student graduate with a minimum of 4 science credits, although only 3 are required for graduation. On the right side, you can see the Biology 1 Advanced and Honors levels. They move into those same levels usually the next year, and many will double up to take Chemistry 1 and Anatomy and Physiology simultaneously. From there, they can move into any one of our AP classes. Physics, you do need to take Advanced and Honors before moving into the AP courses. Biology, because it is a difficult curriculum, we do ask that the students earn a 75 percentile or greater in both math and reading. The math, because the first semester is biochemistry, and math skills are very important in that. To get into English 1 honors, they must have a reading local percentile of 80 or above, a language local percentile of 70 or greater. Please know also that we have shared all of these score requirements with the elementary schools from which they come. We do offer to freshmen already the first half of a college board course. In other words, this is a course that is very challenging because it is college level work, and it is pre-AP World History. It is a 2-year course, so students would take the first half as freshmen, the second half as sophomores. They do need to have a high school placement test reading percentile of 90 or above. Now, if you have a student who is close to that and perhaps does not quite hit the 90, but he or she really loves history, well, that's something we want to talk about. Do we want to go ahead and let your student try this class and see if just the enthusiasm for it will keep them going? And we are open to that type of a conversation. This is a class in which you see students with headphones. We do require all of our students to bring headphones with them to school because in this instance we have a language class in which many of the students have already finished, and so the students who have completed the quiz are going ahead and beginning audio work in that target language. So how do we place a student? Because right now your incoming 9th grade students are the ones we know the least. So we look at 4 primary sources of information. One is, of course, the scores on the placement test itself. And these are not random scores. We've actually compiled the results of students over numerous years, and using that information have been able to determine what scores usually provide success for the student. Secondly, the scores that the student makes on the Explore, the Aspire, the Iowas, or any other standardized test the school which your student attends currently uses. Third, the grades in their 8th grade year. Now this year we have moved up our admission schedule a bit. So we are actually using first quarter grades from 8th grade as well as the 7th grade grades. And then the last one is your teacher recommendations. The teachers who are currently teaching your child, what do he or she feel about that student working at a different level? What do they feel is the appropriate placement for them? This is what we call a course selection sheet for freshmen. This is just to give you an idea of what it looks like. On the day or evening that you come in for your interview and your scheduling meeting, we will have in a folder for you this sheet with your child's name on it, and we will have pre-prepared it for you based on the 4 things I just talked about. We will show you what and explain why your child is in different classes or different levels, and then you and your child will be able to determine, is French, Spanish, Latin, what language is it that you do want to take? Are there electives that you are really interested in and you'd like to make sure takes place this year? Do you feel like your child needs to have a study hall? Do you think that the biology course might need to wait a year? And it certainly can. So these are all discussions that we will have during that process. This is one of our chemistry classes. You can see they are working in the lab portion. All students are required to keep lab notebooks. This is a picture of one of our beginning dance classes. We offer a full dance academy with 4 levels. And so if your student is interested in dance and perhaps he or she never has, we have a beginning course. If your student has been taking dance for many years and would like to become part of our competitive dance team, he or she can do that as well. All freshmen take a world language. They have 4 options. They can take Chinese, French, Spanish, or Latin. You will see a Fundamentals of Spanish class. That is for students for whom language is something with which they have a learning issue, and so we will take that first year of the language and divide it into 2 years. It allows them to get a good background in the language and complete it in 2 years rather than 1. They take the second year of the language as juniors. You will see Accelerated Spanish 1.5. That is for students who have a good command of Spanish already and can complete a 1.5 years in 1 year. As sophomores, they will complete another 1.5 years, basically completing 3 years of study in 2 years. It allows them to take both of our Spanish APs if they wish to. There is also a Spanish 2 test in May if students would like to try and test right out of Spanish 1 into Spanish 2. We also have that available in French and Latin. The physical activity class, students can take either an athletic PE class, which I'll talk a little bit about, a regular PE class, they can take a dance class, or band guard 1 and 2, and band. Those are all used in place of PE if the student is taking it. One of them, rather. If your student is trying out for one of these athletic teams, the course actually practices during the last period of the day every other day. We do this because we do think it is so important that students have the opportunity to get home early at least every other night so you can see them, you can have hopefully dinner together, they can get their schoolwork done and to bed at a reasonable time. These are full-year freshman electives. Again, once their core is full, they can take band and band lab. Band is one of the best programs we have here at Father Ryan. It is double blocked, which means that the student would take it both days of the block. It is not a problem at all if they want to do that. They can still get all of the credits in that they want to and the classes they want by the time they graduate. Biology is list it as an elective because some students and parents do prefer to wait a year. It is considered a core course, and most freshmen do take it as freshmen. Our beginning chamber choir, art, survey of the arts, and yearbook journalism. These are half-year electives. You can see many of them are technological because most of our technology courses, with the exception of programming and our AP Tech class that are a full year, most of them are a semester class. Economics, it's the most popular class we offer at Father Ryan High School. Native American Studies, also very popular, and then you will see study halls are also listed. How do we try and help parents? Well, basically you have 24-hour a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year access. You can email teachers, you can message teachers, you can see your students' grades all the time, you can see whether they have turned in or not turned in work, you can see their daily assignments. It's just a wonderful opportunity for you and your teachers to stay in touch. So please, in no way should you worry about contacting a teacher if you have concern. They welcome your interest. You can also see that many of their homework submissions, as well as quizzes and tests, are taken online, and most teachers will provide daily notes and also supplementary materials for students. This is our college algebra and trig teacher, and you can see this is another way. This is an interactive whiteboard, and she is, of course, projecting from her laptop to show students what she's teaching. This is one of our mission trips. You can see our students. We've gone to Haiti, Honduras. We are right now, we were not able to go last year because of the Zika virus. So we did local service projects instead, but our hope is to be able to return. Summer school. I call this an urban legend that somehow people seem to think that you have to enroll your 8th grader in summer school. No, you do not have to at all. It is their last summer really as kind of kids. So if you want to take the summer to just be with them, to travel and have vacation, or just have them do some fun things, please don't feel any pressure from us to enroll them in summer school. You can still get a study hall. Without going to summer school, you could have a study hall all 4 years if you felt that was necessary. Some students really do want to start early. They may want to get more familiar with the campus and feel better about just starting high school. Some may want to get some credits out of the way so they will have more time as a later student to pick up more electives. That's completely fine. We offer for them digital citizenship and literacy, which is their required technology course, and then health, which is also a required course. Both of these are required by the state of Tennessee and Father Ryan High School. Please note, these classes each are 9 days each from 8 to 3:30. So if they choose to take one class, it's a 9-day commitment. If they choose to take two, it's an 18-day commitment. But this is completely up to you. It is not something that we require. Excuse me just a minute while I move to a different link for you. There we go. Okay, our 2-to-1 technology initiative. You've seen in many of these pictures that all of our students have laptops. These are laptops that you yourself purchase and the student brings with him or her. We do a technology setup and training for each individual student prior to the start of school. We are a PC school, Microsoft 365 cloud-based. We do not use Apple Mac computers at all, and in fact our network does not even admit them. So I just want to be really clear on that. The reason for that, of course, is that we can standardize the materials that we use. 41% of our materials, our textbooks, are actually digital. It allows us to standardize antivirus software, to standardize our printers and how they access them. So there's a lot of practical reasons for this. You'll see here the current minimum specifications for a Father Ryan student computer. If this were to change this year, I would anticipate it will happen right before Christmas time. And this is posted on our website under academics. You will see it listed as 2-to-1 initiative. So just take a look at that before you decide to purchase anything for your child. We believe we are preparing digital citizens. This is the reason we use technology. We don't see it as the end-all and be-all or the only way that students can learn, but we do acknowledge that it provides much more access to current and more correct information. It provides many more interactive activities for students. It allows greater communication between students and teachers. And so we do offer a full curriculum of technology courses to teach them how to use that material, how to use that information, how to use that machinery. But at the same time, we do many things in our classes that do not require technology at all. You will see here our, pardon the cannot zoom in anymore pop-up. I reduce these and make them very small so they don't interfere with the larger picture of the campus you see. But you will see here students who are actually working in our economics class. And I believe in this particular photo they are checking the stock market because they each have stocks that they quote-unquote purchase and follow. This is a picture in that same class. This is a picture of one of our senior theology classes. The reason I love this picture is that in the background you will see on the bulletin board, Saints in the Making. And one of the things we talk about with our students is that the saints in the church were not unusual people. They weren't born differently. They are just like the rest of us who are trying to live out holy lives. And so that is a point of discussion of what is God calling you to do in your life and how do you want to respond to that. This is another picture of students who are in that same French classroom I showed you a little bit earlier. And you can see right here their textbook that they're using to get to that information in those materials. Additional information, much of this I've already gone over, so I'll just go through it pretty quickly. Band classes being double blocked. The math placement tests are for both Algebra 2 and Geometry, and you will sign up for that on your schedule as if it were a separate course, and that makes us know to put you in our system so we alert you to information about those particular tests. And then the Fundamentals of Spanish class, which I talked about just a little bit ago. The placement tests. Yes, no student can take more than one physical education credit per year. And then just a note, while we have a minimum requirement in world languages and cultures of 2 years, one, it must be the same language. They can't take 1 year of French, 1 year of Spanish. We encourage our students to go well over that minimum 2 years, to take at least 3 years of the same foreign language and maybe 1 year of another, or best option, take 4 years of the same language. Every one of our world languages has a 4-year program and Spanish has a 5-year program. If they're not doing that, perhaps they would consider doing 2 years of one language and 2 years of another. These are the dates for the end of the year testing, and you will see Wednesday, April 26th for Spanish and French. I didn't put Latin on there because we don't generally have a great demand for it, but if you do have a student who has a good, strong Latin background, we'd be more than happy to administer a placement test to him or her. Wednesday, May 3rd is the Algebra 2 placement test. That is for students who want to try and test out of Algebra 1 altogether. We offer a makeup to that on May 10th because we do recognize that this time of year is when a lot of class trips are taking place or confirmations, etc. We will also offer on May 10th a geometry placement test for those who would like to try and test out of that as well. All tests start at 3 and they last about an hour and a half. That concludes our presentation. I hope you have found it helpful. Please know that myself, Sarah Hayes, the Academic Dean, Jennifer Anton, who is also our Assistant Academic Dean, Casey Jones, who is our Director of Academic Guidance and Scheduling, as well as Marisol, our Director of Admissions, and Erin Riggs, her Assistant Director, as well as Erin Vallette. All are happy to answer questions, take your calls, emails, do anything to help you feel comfortable with transitioning to high school at Father Ryan. Thank you so much.